knocked off troop ships way before they even reached the beach. So KB was on that battleship that fired one of the first shots of the Normandy invasion. And instead of his having to go to France, they changed their mind and they said, we'll come to Bella Vista. So they did. They came to Bella Vista, and the mountain came to Muhammad. So KB, if you would please stand, and let's give KB, he's a hero. Thank you. Certainly deserving that, KB. You're great. We now will have our president of our Veterans Council that is sponsoring this event today, if he will please come forward and say a word to us about the wall. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Roger Armstrong. I'm the new president of the Veterans Council of North America, or I'm sorry, Northwest Arkansas. Sorry. Not enough coffee this morning. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about our organization, its mission, and our history. The Veterans Council of Northwest Arkansas was formed in 2001 by a group of dedicated directors, one of whom was a very talented architect by the name of Vern Watton. Their mission was to finance, design, and build a monument to honor the region's veterans. That monument was completed in the fall of 2004, and was subsequently dedicated by Winthrop Rockefeller, governor of Arkansas at that time. The dedication was on November 5 of 2004. Oh, sorry. I thought somebody was calling me. The results of the Council's original efforts is a monument of truly incredible design. It's elegant in its simplicity, and it's a very fitting tribute to the over 4,500 veterans whose names appear on its wall. Today, our mission is to maintain and protect that monument and to ensure its preservation into future generations. We believe that it is important our community recognize those patriotic Americans and that we honor their service, their sacrifice, and their dedication to our nation. We also believe it is important that we demonstrate to our young people that our country remembers its veterans and that we hold them in a place of honor, so that if and when they are ever called, they will go with the knowledge that their service was not in vain, but with the blessings of a grateful nation. As part of our current mission, Leonard Eisert, one of the original 7 directors, continues today to provide tours of the monument to neighboring schools and other interested parties. Currently, and unfortunately today, the existing monument is now at capacity, meaning that we have no more room with which to place names on the monument. Therefore, the council is about to embark on a new mission, one that will launch our long-term plan. The plan is indeed ambitious, with a price tag of about $1 to $1.2 million. And that's a pre-Biden estimate. So we know going forward, the going is going to get a little bit rough. But we're dedicated and we will persevere. However, when that project is completed, it will double the size of the existing monument and provide ample space for quiet reflection and remembrance, which is the sole reason the monument exists. Given the cost constraints of such an ambitious project, the Council's strategy is to begin small and add pods as funding is achieved. And I invite you to follow our progress on our website, vetwallofhonor.org. We've recently revised our website. We're going to roll it out next week. We're very excited about it. We'll be able to post events as they happen on the website, and we hope that the community will not only get behind our effort to raise funding for this monument, but will track our progress on the website. We realize that our existing membership is a little long in the tooth. I was 19 when I left Bella Vista for Vietnam. I'm 72 today. My service was over 50 years ago, and that's typical of our membership today. So the council realizes that if we are going to, that we need to re-energize and in order to preserve our legacy and to carry it into the future. And to do that, we're actively reaching out to veterans of a more recent generation, those who served in the Middle East, the Gulf Wars, and Afghanistan. We need their energy, we need their perspective. Also, and finally, but certainly not least, the Council recognizes that women now comprise about 15% of our military forces, and their past contributions are underrepresented by the existing monument. We are therefore seeking input from the few women council members we have to gain their perspective on what a fitting tribute to women's services should look like and what it should be. We are also hoping that the women veterans within our community will sense and understand that they are indeed welcome within the council and that their contributions are valued. I thank you very much.
Roger Armstrong, who just spoke, of course, is our new kid on the block. He's been in the post as president of our organization for just the last 2 months. Prior to that, for 5 years, Ray Brust has been our commander, and so Ray Brust, if you would please, front and center. On behalf of the Veterans Council, we want to present this to you as a certificate of appreciation for your 5 years of service as our president. We thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much.
I think Ray wants to say something.
Jim, by this time, ought to know better than to put me close to the microphone. But anyway, I just wanted to add to what Roger had to say a few minutes ago. We have put so much effort into taking care of this memorial now for just a little over 20 years. And we do need members. And we have a table out in the front. You saw our Honor Guard poster colors. And one benefit of being in the Honor Guard is that you don't have to pay dues. So please pick up an application out there, look it over, and if you're so moved, come and join us. We really do need you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think it's been mentioned before, there were 7 men who got together, and in 2004, the wall was completed. The director of that, we'll be announcing in a minute, but one of the 7, all the others are deceased now, and there's only one survivor, and this is Leonard Izard. Leonard, if you would please, front and center. Leonard is 94 years old. There he is back there. Thank you. Leonard being 94, he's like me. It'd take 4 of these Navy guys to get him up on the stage. So this is for you, Leonard. And next and last, as we just mentioned, there were 7 men originally that built the wall and responsible. The one that was the director, he was the architect, he was the guiding force to get it done, has now deceased, but his daughter is here. And she's here for another reason, and that is that her great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was at Concord Bridge when the British pulled up. And the British were hot and tired and probably angry And one of the British soldiers, we don't know which one, took a shot at Lisa's great-great-great-grandfather, missed him, and hit the soldier behind him. And so the general was obliged to say, "Open fire." And when he did, that was the shot that was heard around the world. And that was our first shot for freedom. And so this is Lisa Watton, and this is for her father, Leonard Watton. Lisa, if you would please. And Lisa has a favorite quote of her father, so let's hear it.
Thank you very much. This is an honor to be here. In the 1770s, we were in big trouble here. We needed warriors. Thomas Paine spoke to those warriors in these brief words that I'd like to read to every veteran here. If you could raise your hand so we know who you are. This is for you. Veterans, thank you. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldiers and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from service of his country. But he, all of you, he that stands now deserves the love and thanks of all men and women. Thomas Paine, 1776. Thank you for your services. We honor you, we love you, we wish you the best of this Veterans Day. Thank you for coming. One more thing, I'm jumping in here. This is Lieutenant Colonel Jim Parsons. He is responsible for this event and all of the others, and this man does not stop. He is a warrior that keeps on going. Please give him a hand.
If this thing messes up, she just put the onus on me, I think, and put me to blame that I'm the one responsible for this. So we'll hope this doesn't fall apart. We now are going to have the 5 branches of the military, and as we play your hymn, if you were a member of that branch, if you will, please stand. This is Lois Carlson, Ecumenical Church Orchestra, and we're going to try something new. She's going to do the music, and then we're going to have the Northwest Arkansas Women's Choir do the lyrics. We don't know how this will turn out. It's never been done before, but you're seeing something new. So please bear with us. This is Mr. Ziering, the director of the women's music. And so, Lois, take it away. Sheila Pride is going to be the director today.
Village Baptist Church.
And Village
Choir.
Baptist Church Choir.
And we'll sing along with Lois's marvelous orchestra.
Thank you. See, I told you that I'd be taking the blame if this thing falls apart. So, thank you, Sheila. Sorry. All you Army, please stand. And now all you Marines, all you gyrenes, jarheads, leathernecks. You submariners are laughing about that, right? You think that's good. How many Marines we got? Yeah, there's a couple back there. I understand sheepdogs in a big picnic today. All right, Marines, take it away. Well, that turned out great. Now we're going to have the Navy. And so we'll get all these submariners up here. They were in the Marines, Navy rather. And so, Lois, we'll go for the Navy. If you were in the Navy, please stand. Look at them, all swabbies. I think I failed to mention this is the USS Snook Base submarine group. It's one of the last military groups in Northwest Arkansas to still stay very active. Of course, we got the sheepdogs. They're very active, and they're on a picnic today, a bunch of Marines. So here we are with the Air Force. I thought the lyrics were into the air, junior birdmen, into the air, upside. No, that's not it. Thank you, and now the Coast Guard. Do we have anyone in here that was in the Coast Guard? There's one. There's one. He is the one. Here's another one. Coast Guard. All right. It took us 3 years to find their hymn. Anyway, here they are. Lois and Sheila, you just did a great job. Thank you so, so much. That added so much to the program today. Lois, you get better every year. And we do thank the Women's Chorus to come in and do this time. We appreciate it very much. We now come to the place in the program with our keynote speaker, and that is going to be Congressman Steve Womack. Served well as governor not as the governor, but the mayor of Rogers, and has served us well in the legislature in Washington, D.C. I remember one time he took his military unit as a full colonel to Egypt, and one of the reporters asked him, "What's the weather like in Egypt?" And he said, "Well, put a hairdryer in front of your face and blow it all day, and you'll have some idea of what the weather's like in Egypt." So this is Steve Womack, our congressman. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Oh, what a great honor it is to once again be in the city, as he's already said earlier, and you can attribute the quote to me, the city that bleeds red, white, and blue. There's not a place anywhere like Bella Vista. I used to, I would tell people all the time that one of the hardest jobs in public service was to be the mayor of Bella Vista. Because you got all these people that have moved in here from all over creation telling the mayor how they did it back where they came from. Peter knows that, don't you, Peter? Yeah. Did you notice that Jim Parsons said when he was introducing Peter Christie, my friend Peter Christie, he was talking about how this is a city of 30,000 people now and we don't have any smokestacks. But we did have the stump dump. How could we forget that? Who needs smokestacks when you've got the stump dump? I came in today and I was a little tardy getting here, and I'm going to explain why here in just a minute. I have a really good reason why, but when I came in, the first thing that I heard was the music emanating from this ecumenical band. Man, are they good or what? And from the back of the hall, I noticed that most of them were dressed in Razorback red until I got up here on the stage, and there's a Wisconsin Badger sitting back over here. There's not a place on the planet like Bella Vista, and I mean it. I get kind of weepy-eyed sometimes when I think about the people that I've met over time in Bella Vista, Arkansas, and to hear their stories. It is amazing to me, the collection and the diversity and the service of the people of this great community. Jim, I want to thank you for everything that you do. Even he's an incredible, he is a Bella Vista treasure now. And I personally want to thank him for everything he does. And I even appreciate some of those letters to the editor that you write. But this is truly a great honor for me to be with you today. We're back from Washington, and it's great to come home. Dorothy said it in that famous movie with all those flying monkeys, She said there was no place like home, no place like home. And so it's good to be with you on this important day, the day that we set aside as a country to honor the people who keep us free. This remembrance serves to validate what we truly believe, yet far too often we take for granted. That is the indisputable truth that the lives we enjoy and the benefits of freedom are secured by the men and women who so selflessly and bravely serve their nation in uniform. Not a day goes by that I'm not reminded of the blessings of liberty and those who safeguard it. And so let's just take last week as an example. In Washington last week, I had a young lady visit our city from Fort Smith Southside. She's a junior at the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. I got her that appointment. She lost her mother to pancreatic cancer on November 1st of her senior year in high school. She went on to the Air Force Academy and she took a personal interest in the mortality rate of pancreatic cancer and has chosen to establish a foundation and a run that she hosts every year in Fort Smith for the Whitney Marsh Foundation. And so she called me a few weeks ago and she asked if she could come to Washington and if I would help her get in front of the decision makers that appropriate the money and pass the policies regarding this deadly disease. And I said, of course I will. And so there she was on Monday and Tuesday making the rounds in Washington, sitting with the ranking member of the Energy and Commerce Committee that does policy, the ranking member of the Appropriations Committee that supervises the funding of the National Institutes of Health and the CDC, the National Cancer Institute, and other various elected officials. No, she didn't go sit down in front of staff. She was right in front of the people who literally make those decisions. And I wish you could have watched her in action. A 3rd District Arkansan holding court with some of our nation's most powerful leaders. And I'll never forget the moment when I'm sitting in the hallway of the Rayburn Room where she's talking to Kathy McMorris Rogers, the ranking member of Energy and Commerce. And I feel a pat on my back as somebody walks by, and it's our minority leader, Kevin McCarthy, and he whispers in my ear, he says, "Stand by. In about 2 minutes, Tony Blair is going to walk by." And sure enough, about 2 minutes later, here came an entourage with the former British Prime Minister. And he stops at me and we shake hands and we talk briefly. And I said, "Mr. Prime Minister, would you have a moment to speak to an amazing young lady from my district, a junior at the Air Force Academy?" And he said, "I certainly would." And there is Tony Blair shaking hands and having conversation with Madison Marsh just off the floor of the U.S. Capitol, of the House floor. And I'm thinking to myself this entire time, most of us will go through life never having an opportunity to chat personally with a head of state, and here's one of our own, one of our proud members of the Arkansas's 3rd delegation up there talking with these folks. She had a Zoom meeting with Capital One because they heard about she was coming to Washington. They wanted to talk to her with their female leadership team. And she made such an impression on the Capital One people. At the end of the Zoom, they said, "We are so impressed with you. We want to contribute $10,000 to your foundation." My friends, that's what we are doing in our community through education and through organizations that have events just like this. And right over here to my right, not to embarrass them, but I'm proud of them. You've got a principal and a vice principal at Bentonville West, and you got 3 kids sandwiched in the middle, 2 of whom will apply this year for Air Force and the other service academies, and a junior that will be applying next year. My friends, if you truly believe in this spirit of patriotism, you have to agree that it will only be possible through the volunteer efforts of America's next greatest generation. And there some of them sit right now. Then on Saturday, I fly down to Dallas, where I watch the Black Knights of Army defeat Air Force in the annual grudge match, the Army Air Force game down at Globe Life Field in overtime. And I've got to tell you, I chair the board at West Point, so I'm supposed to be, I'm supposed to brag about Army, and I do frequently, to a fault, and particularly on Saturday. But anyway, I want you to think about this. I want you to get a mental picture of this, if you will. They fight 4 quarters and an overtime. One team wins, one team not so lucky. But when it's all said and done and the final whistle is blown, both teams appear before their respective student bodies and pay honor to those academies, standing at attention there in their football uniforms as the student section sings their respective alma mater. It gives me goosebumps to think that how we could be such competitors on the field, and then when it's all said and done, we are one team united in purpose in defense of the freedoms that we all enjoy. And then also on Saturday, leaving the game, headed to the airport. There I am, waiting on my plane ride at gate B1, and all of a sudden, here comes a couple wheeling a gentleman right in front of me as I was waiting, and I couldn't help but notice the hat he was wearing. The campaign at Anzio in World War II. And I don't know if Mr. Watson is in the audience here today, but this gentleman is 97. He will soon turn 98. His daughter and son-in-law are with him on their trip back from a visit in California. And there, sitting right in front of me, is one of the few remaining heroes of who Brokaw called America's greatest generation. And it does my heart proud, and I know that it means a lot to the people here today. Nearly a month ago, our nation lost one of our nation's most revered heroes, General Colin Powell. He was memorialized in a service last week in Washington. I had the great personal privilege of knowing Colin Powell. I first met him as a young lieutenant when I was at Fort Chaffee. He was then a commander of a brigade doing supervisory work with our unit. But I really came to know him because of my work with the Capitol Concerts organization in Washington and the Memorial Day concert that is hosted on the west front of the Capitol, usually each year. COVID has put a stop to that for a couple of years. We hope to be back next spring. He was committed to that event. I think he did it 18 or 19 straight years. I admired him as a person, as a military leader, as a statesman, the first African American to serve as Secretary of State. He was the son of Jamaican immigrants, born in Harlem, raised in the Bronx. He was a product of the ROTC program of City College of New York. After commissioning, he trained in Georgia, where despite a desegregated military, Colin Powell, as a young officer, was refused service in restaurants and bars because of the color of his skin. Wounded on his first tour in Vietnam, he returned for a second tour and distinguished himself by rescuing fellow soldiers and himself in a helicopter crash, earning him the Soldier's Medal. Colin soldiered for 35 years, culminating as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was a national security advisor to Ronald Reagan, later became the 65th Secretary of State under George W. Bush. I'll let the critics write about his speech to the UN Security Council, where he famously talked about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. That's not my purpose here today. Powell himself called it a blot on his record. But as for me, Powell was a soldier's soldier. He was a fine man, a trailblazer for the African American community, a soldier and statesman of the highest order. And I believe our nation should be proud of his service. Our nation has a proud history of honoring our military. This day, throughout Northwest Arkansas, you're going to see visible signs of support of our men and women in uniform. Free meals. I was listening to my dad's radio station this morning. And tonight, John Fritchie and the Golden Corral is going to be offering free meals to all veterans. I hope you'll go. I hope you bankrupt them. And Sam's Old Time Hamburgers in Centerton and Rogers, also free meals for veterans today. And I could go on and on. There are big box discount retailers that give military discounts, not just today, but the year round. There are many examples of people that willingly pick up the ticket for those of us who have served in uniform. And they do it for a simple reason, because they recognize patriotism and they recognize the hardship and the sacrifice that goes in to serving your country. I want you to remember this. Our veterans are part of our genius as a country. They are volunteers. They are from all walks of life. They've been through a lot in the last generation. You'll notice the visible scars from battle. And in many cases, what you will not see is the painful memory that many of them carry of a buddy lost in combat, or the not so visible sign of traumatic brain injury. And the families, oh, the families. Throughout my military career, I was taught that the family is a combat multiplier. They keep the home fires burning. Never knowing if their loved one is ever going to make it home. I would hope that on this Veterans Day and always, that you keep their loved ones in mind. After all, they serve as well. And finally, in Washington, let me assure you that we will honor your service to country by ensuring that our Army, our Navy, our Air Force, our Marines, and let's not forget, we always forget the Coast Guard, but I'm not going to forget them. We got one guy here that won't let me forget them. And or two, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you, two. And let's not forget the newest service of all. So new that they don't even have a song. The Guardians of the Space Force. The newest service to the United States military. Now, I've got some ideas for a song. I was thinking the old tune, Meet George Jetson. We'll see how all that pans out. But you are a part of our genius, and we will take care of you. It is my daily and prideful goal that through all of my work in Washington, because I've taken an oath to the Constitution, the greatest living document outside of the Holy Bible that I've ever read that says it very simply: provide for the common defense. And it is my ultimate goal throughout the course of my work to make sure that our forces are the best manned, our forces are the best trained, that our forces are the best equipped of any military on the planet. And if we do it right, the future will take care of itself, and we will have, as Ronald Reagan said, peace through strength. Before I close these remarks today, I want to talk to you about where I've been just an hour ago. This is probably a place that none of you, maybe few of you, know even exists, but it exists right here in Benton County, Arkansas. I was invited out today to join a group of dignitaries to see what's going on at the University of Health and Fitness, a few hundred acres way out west of Decatur, out in the country, that is being set up to rotate our returning soldiers from battle through, to help them recalibrate their lives, to give them purpose again, and to see that the talents that led them so successfully in military service can be recaptured and guide them as they transition back to society. It is a fascinating concept. It is a beautiful arrangement. And it brought to Northwest Arkansas today a famous person, a wrestler by the name of John Cena. Now, I will tell you, if you've got that kind of activity going on right here in your backyard in Benton County, Arkansas, it tells me that this county, its people, get it on how you take care of those who serve you in uniform. I am so honored to be a part of it all. So, my friends, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I want to thank the citizens of Bella Vista for their steadfast support of America's military and veterans. And I want to leave you with these words. The third stanza, my favorite stanza of America the Beautiful, as a way of acknowledging the reason we are all gathered here today. Oh, beautiful, for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. God bless our veterans, and may God continue to bless this great nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always such a privilege to have Congressman Womack come because his speeches are always informative, inspiring, and we just appreciate his coming so much, taking the time out of the day where he could be somewhere else today other than this, so we thank him. Come to a little bit of an awkward part of the program. We knew this was going to be, because how do we get two choruses up here, and how do we get the orchestra here, and how do we get them on stage? So, if you will, ladies, come ahead and come on up. And can you make that, Beth? While they're coming up, they said, would I filibuster just a little bit? So I will. I introduced Sheila Pridemore is the director, Village Baptist Church, and was the first choir, and I think I didn't explain that exactly. I think a couple of Lutherans got in over there. I don't know how did that happen. They're everywhere. You can't go to Walmart, you run into a Lutheran. Anyway, this is Larry Ziering, is the director of the Northwest Arkansas Women's Chorus. And so as they position themselves here on stage, why, I see we're just about ready to go. I wish I had time to say more about these submariners. Usually at the 4th of July parade, I do have time to do it, but we don't understand them. These guys are a little bit nuts. They've been without oxygen for days. They go down in a steel tube and go underwater in a vessel that's designed to sink. Who in the world would do that? That's crazy. Why do you guys do that? That's amazing. Anyway, this is Larry Ziering and his group from Northwest Arkansas Women. Thank you, Larry.
Oh
If you will, stay seated just for a minute. One last announcement. There'll be a Veterans Day event like this at the Hope Church on Hope Avenue in Rogers. And so if you would like to attend that, the Republican women are hosting that. We're going to close with the words of TAPS. I don't know if you've ever known that there were words. There's actually 4 verses. But if you will, stay seated, and Mrs. Werner and I are going to do that and give you the words. She's going to do the bugle. The day is done. Gone the sun from the lakes and from the hills and from the sky. All is well. Safely rest. God is nigh. Now then, if you will, please stand, and we're going to run it straight through, and then we'll be dismissed. Ms. Werner. This concludes today's event. God bless you, and thank you for coming. Thank you, choir, everybody. There is a Veterans Day parade in Pea Ridge at 2 o'clock, and our submariners are headed over there now to be in that parade. So if you want, 2 o'clock.